Fellow film fans, what up? It's your boy Tay Talks Talkies, and let's talk film. Specifically, let's talk the finale of The White Lotus Season 3. Insane. So we were waiting for 7 episodes. We were waiting for shit to pop off. And shit indeed popped off. And it was glorious. It was incredible. Some of my predictions came true, and I'm proud of that. So if you stuck with me for the last video, you'll know that I predicted that the old guy is Rick's father. Didn't think he would kill the old guy, but surprise, surprise, my prediction of Chelsea dying came to fruition. It was predicted with the bad things happen in threes. She was there for the robbery. She got bit by the snake. And it only made sense she would die in the end. And it was so sad. What I didn't anticipate and what I didn't think about was that poisonous seed coming back into play. In that first episode, we hear the Ratliff family learn about that poisonous seed. And I should have thought about that, because it's like Chekhov's gun. You don't introduce something if you're not going to bring it back into play. And I should have thought about the fact that Tim Ratliff was never going to use a gun. He was going to use poison. And luckily, none of the Ratliffs met their demise, thank God. Locke came close. Locke saw God. Locke woke back up, and I was so happy about that, because it was sad. I was like, damn. It made sense from a poetic irony perspective that Locke would be the one that died. He was the one that was okay with being poor. He was the one that wasn't supposed to drink the pina colada concoction, and it would have made all the sense in the world if Mike White had kept him dead. But I'm glad he didn't, because truly Locke didn't deserve any bad stuff. He was one of the good-hearted, good people in the show, him and Belinda. But we see Belinda corrupted by the moolah. Her son helps her get the $5 million from Greg/Gary, and she's balling now. She forgets about Porn Chai. Poor Porn Chai. Can we pour one out for the boy Porn Chai, please? That poor dude took the biggest L of this entire show. He was a good dude. He cared about Belinda. Belinda, let's face it, she's not some incredible smoke show, with all due respect to Belinda. And he loved her, or he at least seemed like he wanted to love her. And she said, sorry, I got $5 million now. You got nothing to really offer me. I'm out. And her and her son dipped. And it was sad for Porn Chai. You could see he's really sad. You could see Belinda's a little sad about it. But yeah, it's not super similar to what Tanya did to her in season 1. But it is reminiscent. We do see, once things change for a character, them kind of forgetting promises. Even though she never promised Porn Chai that they would start the business together, she did seem receptive to it. And we see once things change for her, just like they did for Tanya when she got engaged to Greg, all that goes out the window, and she's gone. And Belinda is now an accessory in murder. And you have to think, when the bank flags $5 million mysteriously popping into an account, because we see the balance, it looked like she had maybe like $10,000 in the account before the deposit, they're going to think something's up. You don't just get randomly $5 million without having a good explanation for it. So they're going to ask, how did this happen? And I'm assuming in season 4, we're going to get a lot more insight into how this all plays out. But she's an accessory to murder now. She's helping Greg/Gary cover it up. And at the end, Greg/Gary is still alive. And I thought for sure serendipity would come and whisk him away to the pits of hell, because he did kill Tanya. But no, he is still alive and still well and still a cuck. I also predicted that Gaitak would be the one in the shootout firing, and indeed he was. He proved to Mook that he is a strong man, and it's sad because we see a theme in the finale. We see love corrupting who a person is. We see it with Gaitak. He wants Mook so bad. He violates his principles. He's a very peaceful guy. He's a Buddhist. He worships Buddha, and we see him violate his core principle of not harming any other humans when he shoots and kills Rick. And we see Chelsea. She loses her life over love. She loved Rick so much, and she wanted it to work so badly with him, that she got what she wanted. They are going to be together forever, but it's not in the physical plane. They are both dead. And what I find interesting about the last couple episodes, we see hints of Saxon and Chelsea having something. Mike White didn't just do this randomly. We see something there. And I think deep down, Chelsea was thinking to herself, I could see myself with someone like Saxon, but it scared her because she really has convinced herself that she's the soulmate of Rick and Rick's the soulmate of her. And I think when they had that moment where they're sitting on the bed together and touching hands, for one split second, she wasn't hating it. But then as soon as she realized what was going on, she popped up. She says, I got to call Rick. You got to get out. I think there's something there. And what's interesting about that dynamic is if she ended up with someone like Saxon, she would still be alive. She would not be dead with a bullet in her chest. But because she loved Rick so much, she tried to cure his problems. And because Rick put his problems above her, she even came to him right before he killed the old guy who turns out to be his father. She comes to him and says, what are you doing? And he says, get the fuck out of here. He's telling her, my revenge is paramount above you, above our love, above anything else. Chelsea would never do that. Her love for Rick supersedes all. But with Rick, it's different. So an interesting thing about this season, and specifically the last few episodes, Mike White is saying, just because you think you're in love with somebody, does that mean that you're right for the person? We see it when Mrs. Ratliff asks that young girl, why are you with this old weird guy? And the young girl gets offended and says, you can't ask me that. But she has a point. You are only with that old guy. You've convinced yourself that's because you love him. But really, you are with him because he's wealthy. That is the core connecting factor in your relationship. But you convince yourself of other things. Like, no, I care about him. I love him. But you would never have been with him in the first place if he wasn't wealthy. So there's this interesting commentary happening in this season about that type of dynamic between two people that really aren't too compatible, but because of ulterior reasons are in a relationship. But at least Guy Talk, the boy Guy Talk, got a happy ending. He gets that promotion. He is now the bodyguard of Saitala, and presumably he's gonna land Mook. She seems really proud of him and happy for him that he was able to get the promotion and prove that he is a strong man. It doesn't mean that Mook was right, because she was essentially pushing Guy Talk to change who he was at a core level just to fill in her desire for what a man should be. And he does it. He caves in. He shoots Rick. He gets the promotion. He replaces the bodyguards that were killed in the shootout with Rick. And she is seemingly happy with being in a relationship with him. But Guy Talk, he changed who he was, and this is the theme of the show, is changing who you are worth love? Or at least worth the love that you think you have. Because love is always worth more than anything. It's the most important force in humanity. But the kind of love where you are convincing yourself that you're in love with a person, but really every rational thought outside of your own mind is telling you this is not a good situation, but you ignore it because you're like, no, it's right, I gotta make it work. And that's what happened to Chelsea. We see her lose her life, and she gets punished for being that type of starry-eyed lover. She just believes in horoscopes and believes that she was meant to be with Rick and meant to help him solve his problems. And she fails. She ultimately does not help him solve his problems. Now, there's a lot of complaints about, we wanted to see the Ratliff's reaction to Tim losing all of his money and ultimately all of their money. But I don't think we needed that. And the White Lotus with season 1 and 2 and now 3, Mike White was never concerned with tying up every single loose end. There's a lot that's left to be imagined. And this season's no different. You're supposed to kind of imagine. We've gotten to know these characters for 8 episodes, so we know how they're going to react. Let's be real. We know how they're going to react when they find out that they're broke. We know Piper. We found out she doesn't truly want to be a Buddhist, so she's going to be devastated. Mrs. Ratliff's going to be devastated. And Saxon, his whole career is tied to Tim, so obviously he's wrecked. The only one that probably is going to come out unscathed is Locke. And something beautiful happens with Tim. So the words that the Buddhist monk said to Tim really had a profound effect on him. He's finally come clean with his family about what's been going on. And then he has this moment of serenity where he's looking at the waves crashing on the side of the boat, and he's seeing those droplets come up and fall back in the water, and it reminds him of what was said by that monk about when we die, we just return back to the water. And we can see that he's been profoundly changed by his experience in Thailand. So even though Piper, under false pretenses, took them to Thailand, Mr. Ratliff got what he needed out of that trip. He's the one that paid for it, obviously, but also he needed to be in Thailand for when this crazy event happened to him, because now he has the knowledge and the mindset he needs to be able to handle something this cataclysmic to his world. And then we see Sam Rockwell's character Frank back in the monastery, back praying, back to his Buddhist ways, and that's just a really nice little moment too. We get to see him back after falling off the wagon, back in his peaceful element where he has his stuff together and he's not a deranged degenerate. One thing that obviously bothers me is the Russians got away with their crimes, and I'm confused why Gaitak didn't tell Saitala about what happened with Valentin being part of the robberies. Maybe because Valentin really sincerely seemed like it was going to ruin their lives, which clearly, I mean, when you rob, you're going to get your life messed up. But Gaitak's a really good guy, so maybe he really just was like, I already killed somebody, I don't want to ruin any more lives, so maybe that's why he didn't tell. But it does suck that those scumbags get to walk away scot-free, and I'm hoping next season, maybe, I don't think we'll get any closure with them, because I doubt we're going to be back in Thailand. But it would be nice to see them get what they deserve, which is prison. But that's basically everything that happened in the 90-minute finale of Season 3 of The White Lotus. We see a tale as old as time with Rick's story in particular. He is essentially the main character in a lot of ways, and he shows us that vengeance is never, ever worth it. It always leads to more disaster, more pain. And sure enough, if he just would have said, it's all right, I don't need get vengeance. If he would have hung out with Frank longer and maybe gotten to see more Buddhist elements of ideology, he probably would still be alive, and so would Chelsea, and they could live happily ever after. But instead, he had to get vengeance. He had to kill the old guy, and he paid the ultimate price. Chelsea paid the ultimate price, and the tale as old as time. Vengeance always leads to more pain. But that's basically it. Let me know what you guys thought about Season 3. What did you think about the finale? I really enjoyed this season. I think it was just as good, if not better, than the previous two. And I'm excited to see where Season 4 takes us. Stay tuned for any new episodes. Subscribe. I promise to keep pumping out great content for you guys. You guys are the best. Like, comment. Let me know what you thought. And stay tuned for next time. Tay out.